Welcome at the podcast series of Sociëteit Vastgoed International. My name is Ron van Bloois and I'm the business partner of Sociëteit Vastgoed and also chairman of International. And today I'm delighted to have Jelena Arsic van Os, the CEO of Accsys Technologies PLC in my podcast show. Jelena, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ron. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. Well, this podcast is all about thought leadership, but also to get to know each other. And I thought it would be a nice idea to start with a little quiz. So I've prepared 4 tough questions for you, and I'm very curious to hear your answers.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, let's start with the first one.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's really a warming up, eh? So, but I think it could be tough. So the first question is, Netherlands or USA?
Netherlands.
In the perspective of ESG, the E, the S, or the G?
E.
E, all right. Third one, that's an easy one, or maybe very difficult. Carbon-free concrete or wood?
Wood.
And the last one, impact or profit?
Oh, that's the tough one. Well, we need them both. I think that's a very difficult one. We need them both. We need
let's elaborate on that one in the podcast.
Yes, we need the sustainable companies to make sustainable impact.
Absolutely great. Hey, Jelena, I'm impressed by your track record. When I look at your CV, starting as a PhD in chemistry, and then 20 years in powder coatings, industrial chemicals, resins, plastics, and then CEO of the producer of Accoya and Tricoya. Tell me, what's the story behind this track record?
Well, I started as a young educated woman in the chemical industry sector, and I wanted to make an impact. I was very much interested in the business side of things, and I started my career in AkzoNobel. It went very well. Company really gave me an opportunity to develop. So I started managing my first businesses, lived around the world, in South America, in Germany. I spent a lot of time in the US, in China, in Middle East. So kind of put a lot of comprehensive international experience. And then at some point, I started to work for the French minerals company called Imerys, where I also learned other things completely different from our own chemical sector, but being also very much focused and driven on the ESG side of the business story. It was driving the company strategy going forward. And then at some point, Accsys approached me, and they were looking for CEO, and I found this as an amazing opportunity to basically be on top of the company and actually, have that nice impact that CEOs and the leadership team can have.
Excellent. Yeah, well, when I look at your one-liner, one of the company's one-liner is changing wood to change the world. Well, that's a B-hack.
Yes, no, but we are really, really proud of it. We do strongly believe as a company that Accsys is creating a future of wood. When we are talking about Accsys, we are talking about really revolutionary company that is redefining wood industry with this proprietary technology that makes timber much more durable, much more stable, and much more sustainable than what you ever seen before. So every single person in Accsys that works for it, we strongly believe in that ESG story behind the company, and all of us work for it because we do believe that we can change the world.
Yeah, awesome. Why I love this purpose, and I would always say, well, I'm totally aligned with this purpose because I'm also nudging for already 2 decades the built environment into a sustainable direction. But I think
if you,
yeah, well, maybe one of the big topics of this podcast is also why aren't we building with wood? We do have made a big progress, But I think one of the key questions is why is it so difficult in the value chain of the built environment to go in this direction of having wood as an accepted building technology and also material? Because when you look at circularity, I think it should be a no-brainer. But why is it so difficult, to your opinion?
Well, let me start. I will answer your question, but let me start just looking back. If you look at today at the construction industry, you see construction and building materials making up trillions of dollars globally.
Yeah.
And then this industry is at the moment facing a couple of challenges. The one is a climate change impacting the way how the industry is going to work going forward. And the other one is demand for the high performing materials. The same industry is basically responsible for 36-37% of CO2, basically of the green gas emissions. And it is a huge responsibility on it to do something about it. Now, wood is a very old building material. People used it from the beginning of the world, you may say. It is also capturing CO2 and keeping it during the life of service. Now, why are we not using wood more? First of all, it is the availability of very, very durable wood. Usually very, very durable wood is a wood coming from the rainforests. It's a hardwood. It needs 150 years to grow.
Yeah.
And once when you cut it, so it is cutting those trees is really not very sustainable. One of the things that our company did is that basically we kind of cracked the code of the wood acetylation, which is making a very fast growing wood that grows in 25 years, very, very durable. So you give him a property, you treat the wood, you give him a property of the hardwood, and it becomes, we give a guarantee for its performance for 50 years, and usually this wood stays more than 60 years of service. And at the same time, because we are just using the certified wood as our raw material, that means that for every tree that is being used to produce Accoya, 2 other trees can be grown, fully grown, while the product is having its service. So I would say, I think the wood is really a no-brainer as a construction material, but the availability of very high-performing wood is one of the issues. And also one of the challenges is the scalability of the factories, if you like, that are able to make such a high performing material.
Yeah, because in terms of factory and production, I think that's a very interesting topic. You have one in the Netherlands, in Arnhem, but also just opened one in the USA. Why also this geographical spread? Is that needed, what's the logic behind it?
So this acetylation technology, this revolutionary technology, how I'm calling it, is actually a Dutch proprietary technology. So it started in Arnhem, in Kleefsewaard, from the lab, and it kind of grew to become a full factory. And we are today very proud to deliver our product to some of the really the best, one of the very nice best architect projects that you can already see everywhere. So for instance, very recent project was the Google headquarters in City of London, just outside of the King's Cross station. There is a huge, beautiful factory completely covered in a wood that is all coming from Arnhem. Why do we have so we have a full factory here in Arnhem. We developed our market to serve Europe, but also to serve Netherlands, to serve Europe, but also to serve the rest of the world. And of course, US is one of the largest and the most profitable wood markets in the world. If you travel around in the US, you will see many wood houses. You will see wood being used much more as a building material than what you would normally see in Europe or Middle East. So as from its market potential, we decided there was a strategic decision to build another plant. We did it together with our joint venture. It is a joint venture of Accsys and Eastman Chemical Company. Together, working with Eastman, we are actually using our the chemical streams that we are using in our treatment process are going back to Eastman. So we are making a full circle. So we are making the circularity actually working on its best.
Yeah, great. Yeah, well, I had the honor to be the master of ceremony of the European Sustainability Congress quite recently in Warsaw. And one takeaway was that we need a level playing field also in terms of legislation. We're having, of course, EU taxonomy, but even global legislation. What's your take on it in terms of the importance of a level playing field and creating the right drivers for the value chain?
I think that on one side, you may have a different opinion on it. My personal opinion of it is we should be a little bit faster with the legislations, because if we leave it to develop and to become endless discussions, they will take very, very, very long time. Of course, having legislations in one place are making life sometimes a little bit more difficult for the purpose of better future. Because if you just leave it to go as it is, we see where we ended up. You see what is happening. So climate is changing extremely, extremely fast. I think maybe at some point it will come to the non-reversible point. And of course, all the companies, all of us as individuals, we have a responsibility to be proactive with it. I think Europe, Nordic countries are one of the first adapters, if you like, to all the new ESG related activities. Our country is being very, very proactive as well. But if you look in the US, it takes quite a long time. Sometimes profit works against the impact. And of course, you need to, everybody has to elevate on one level higher to look at it from really on a future perspective, saying what kind of environment are we going to leave for our children?
Yeah. But is it also, let's say, a turnaround that we would say, well, maybe sometimes we need less legislation also to boost innovation and also the scalability of products? Because there was, for example, a keynote where there was a comparison between the EU and China, where it was quite an obvious, interesting takeaway that, for example, in China, they also have more innovation space, and that improves the speed of change, of innovation, new companies, etc. So do you also think that sometimes we need less regulation and also more power to the market to speed up?
Absolutely. I think the one of the things that is changing in the last, I would say in the last couple of years, and now as technology is kind of going to the next stage of development with the AI, the speed to market is something which is going to make a distinction between the companies or between the nations, if you like. Yeah. So having an opportunity to have innovation being done in a very fast way, allowing people to experiment, allowing people to actually come with the most creative solution is absolutely needed. I think on one side, you have China who is doing it quite a good job in terms of innovation, in terms of technological process, if you like. But on the other hand, China, because they didn't protect the environment in the early 80s, when whole world came and brought all the industry to China in order to get this very cheap, to get the cheap labor, to get the cheap export products. Basically, they were facing quite a big problems afterwards because they didn't have a legislation in place saying, well, we can do that, but it has to be done in a safe way for the environment. So I think we have to be very pragmatic. We cannot be dogmatic. We have to be very pragmatic. We need to have a legislation in place that are going to, keep us honest in the way how do we perform a business as a company. Accsys operate in a sensitive world where forestry is involved. So you want to have a proper legislations that are going to say, well, we are only going to use certified wood, we are going to replenish everything what we cut, and we are going to take care that we are, that we are progressing this, putting a lot of energy into ESG, and then that is the company with a good ethics to actually run the business going forward.
Yeah. That would be nice to also delve into your, let's say, DNA of the company and how you're showing off your leadership in your own business. But maybe first a question on important drivers. When we look at sustainable development, legislation is key. But also, on the other hand, the demands from the capital flows. I think ESG is now top of mind, and also, let's say, pension funds or all the big companies on the capital side are requesting sustainable solutions. When we would say take a closer look in the scope of 5 years, do you think that wood will be, let's say, a critical item to make sustainable buildings, or what's the impact of wood also for investors, especially?
Well, if you look at sustainable materials, which I see wood as one of the sustainable materials, Accsys is having a technology that is offering the world possibility to choose for the sustainable, durable material. We see in our investor base that we have a company, family funds, or even the industrial investors that are quite keen in investing in a sustainable stocks, so in the so-called green stocks, if you like.
Yeah.
And this is becoming more and more and more important. And why is that? Because people believe that with the change in the whole industrial environment, that the values of these green companies are going to, if they are sustainable, if they are well performing, the value of those companies are going to increase. Now, Accsys already exists for more than 20 years. Is the wood the only material that is going to be there? Absolutely not. We need much more sustainable materials than wood only. Nevertheless, we do have now material available that if you want to make, cladding, decking, the full facades, windows, doors in the house, you can do that, and you can get a material that is going to provide the building components that will be 50, 60 years in service, and basically without being non-toxic, being very, if you like, stable. So even if you coat it, put a coating on it, so the maintenance cycles are very, very low. So that means you are having something that is quite valuable and unique in the marketplace, fully recyclable. When you basically at the end of the cycle you want to walk away, you can basically reuse it. If it is a window or a door, you can repurpose it, make the fence of it or what have you, or you can actually basically grind it and use it as a composite, and it will just help grow in your garden. So it is a fully circular product that is available. Do we need more? Absolutely, we need more. Yeah. We talk about a lot of like Hennep concrete, for instance, that came a lot of buzz in the marketplace. Some algae related biomaterials that are there that could be used. Problem with concrete is the CO2 footprint. It is a very, very polluting industry. But we build so much with concrete that it is going to be impossible in the next 5 years to replace with any available the full usage of concrete. But we can start using more and more the available, more sustainable materials. If you see, wood is becoming very popular. You have nowadays almost wood cities in Helsinki and Stockholm. So the big new developments are being completely designed and built out of wood. Akoya wood is playing a role, but all other wood species are playing a role there as well. And you will have some very, very nice examples, for instance, in the Netherlands, like a Venlo Stadshuis. Mm-hmm. That is, having this concept of carbon neutral, completely circular building project that was built in 2016. It is using materials, it is using Accoya, and if anybody of your listeners want to see how does it look like almost 10 years later, you can go and drive by Venlo Stadshuis. And we are very, very much proud of that project that is showcasing that by having, good Dutch technology that is now being kind of expanding across the world, spreading the world of, we have materials available, we have the materials of the future available, and we can use them. And we see that many, many architects are actually using them.
Yeah, very interesting best practices, and maybe we can come back on that topic later in the podcast. Maybe one step back, when it's about also comparables between materials. I think life cycle analysis is key, and it's all about measurement and collecting unbiased data.
Yes.
Are you taking a proactive role in terms of creating a reliable data, and also what's your own vision about the importance of data and measurement?
We think it's very important. We like to make decisions based on facts.
Yeah.
And of course, as I said, because we do strongly believe in a green DNA and a green nature of the company, we do put a lot of effort and also a lot of costs to actually do proper assessments that are the ESG assessments that we are following. So, for instance, if you look at the cradle-to-cradle certification, we have a cradle-to-cradle certification gold, platinum for material health. This is hours and hours and days collecting the data, showing the proof. Every single word that you say in that assessment is actually have to be proof checked. We need to show the data that are actually confirming that everything what this company saying in the assessment is absolutely true. Yeah. It is a big burden. I also believe, and I see that now also with the dual materiality assessments that are becoming basically obligatory also for us. The whole ESG reporting is becoming almost an industry on its own. It is massive. There are requirements are there, and they are becoming bigger and bigger every year. So, it is becoming much more difficult to even keep your score, if you like.
Yeah.
And then in order to kind of progress, because all of us, we want to be better than ourselves last year. So, we then, you have to put really some additional effort, investment to go at least to keep the score on the level if it is a very high level, or if you want to push it forward. And it all has to be signed off in facts. So there is no greenwashing.
No, but I really love that progress, because I think it took us 20 years to go from a greenwashing to a more underwritten built environment. And also when you look at the CSRD with the scope 1, 2, and 3, it's becoming very important to also to create this alignment and accountability in the value chain. And that's actually my second question. Like, are you also selecting your partners in terms of being sustainable, in terms of behavior, reporting, compliance? So what's your own active role in terms of value chain management?
Yes, we are doing that quite actively. Of course, as a company, you have a number of company policies that are helping you with that. But let's take an example of, if you like, wood sourcing. There is a new law coming in the Europe, AUDR, which is going to trace back every single tree, where where it is coming from, how is it being sourced, how is it being replenished, etc. And it is a massive activity for all of our suppliers to actually provide us that data and to actually allow us to be compliant with the law that is now happening in Europe. There is no discussion. If they are not capable of providing us that, they are not our supplier anymore.
Yeah. No, but I think that's a fair point.
There is and we are very lucky to have quite a long-term partners in that supply chain that are actively working with us and with also they also having the same firm beliefs about the importance and of the future of sustainable construction and the importance of for the climate action and everything, so that they are really helpful, and we're all working together to actually make it happen.
Yeah, and when you, for example, make a bridge to your own leadership and also the employer side, is it also that you're selecting the right persons in terms of when it's about compliance, that there is no question mark anymore? That, for example, that people are really strict on, well, let's say their purpose, and also, well, when it's about having the right person and also the war for talent, that you are very strict on having the right employees in the company, or am I now dreaming?
Now, we are moving in that direction. Of course, what we are seeing now, that a lot of the younger people who are joining the company, they have a very strong need to see the company purpose. This was not the case when I was looking for my first job 25, 30 years ago. But if you see in the last couple of years, it is very important for everybody, and it is also growing in a more experienced employees. If you are spending your time, and if you're spending your energy, and we spend a lot of time and energy in the company, you want to know why why are we doing this, why we are in this business, how we are going to contribute. And it is not only about profit, it is about the planet, it is about people. And companies that are actually trying to connect and find a way to connect all three of very important pillars together, also in the terms of the employee story, in employee engagement, those companies are actually positioned very well for the future. Are we there? To be frank with you, not yet. But we are working very hard, and as I said, we do have quite a strong sense of purpose as a company, but at the same time we are really trying to make it bigger, to make it better, and really to be much more resilient for the future. So yes, we are investing a lot in innovation, and it is not investment in innovation. It is for us an opportunity to align with the future of sustainable construction and the climate action. And that's why I'm saying, that's why, also with the Societeit Vastgoed, join us in building that greener, more resilient planet. We do believe that we all are going to have quite a good benefits of it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and it was also related to the fourth question of the quiz. When it was a difficult one, I was aware, impact or profit, and then you're a listed company. So how are you dealing with all those stakeholders, where maybe sometimes there are different goal settings, or there's a different pace in terms of what's the speed, but how are you dealing to create the perfect optimum to both be profitable and making impact? Is that challenging as a CEO, or how are you dealing with this from also a leadership point of view?
Well, listen, company has to be strong in order to make the impact. Company needs to be strong financially in order to be sustainable, to exist for a long time. And as you are sustainable and you exist for a long time, if you have the right mindset, right purpose, you are going to actually push for the right impacts. That is that. So when we are discussing with our investors and with our shareholders, we are explaining to them that we are trying to build a strong, purposeful company, and that is, building it strong. It is really helping us to improve and push for the bigger social impact, for the bigger environmental impact. And then everybody sees, for me, it is not two things. They go hand to hand. But first, you have to have a strong company in order to make a big impact. Other way around, it does not work.
Yeah, great. And Jelena, when it's about dreaming, when we would do a podcast again in 10 years, where are you in 10 years?
Where am I in 10 years? Oh my God, that is the question. Well, I probably am going to be, somewhere towards the end of my super active, if you like, professional work. I will be probably
Why? There,
teaching.
there is no retirement in the
No,
longevity
I don't want to
scheme.
retire. I probably would go maybe teaching or kind of helping younger people to, find a way and make a decision, right decision, and then probably go into that direction, help companies, become better, different companies. And hopefully then I'm going to see, looking back, I'm going to see Accsys and I will be super proud of all the, impact that I made during my time at the company.
Yeah, because and how will you also measure impact? Is it growth or is it, let's say, sustainable impact that you say, well, we've indeed changed wood and we've changed the world or the built environment. So how do we measure impact also in your dream?
Well, you make both. So even if I look at also how we are incentivized to them, we are incentivized on the how well company is performing, but also what kind of ESG score do we get. So they are going really hand to hand, and it is a part of the incentive program, not only for the top executives like myself, like my executive team, but also for everybody into organization. So ESG is part of our incentive. So it is not about only, what kind of result do you achieve, but how do you achieve it? How do we make it more sustainable?
Yeah, so you really have a different KPI set.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I fully believe that we need also this type of steering wheel to have different type of behavior in how we run a company, how we measure, how we do remuneration, etc.
So I will just give you an example. So we
Yeah.
are looking at the S&P score. So every year we go through the assessment, and that score is in our incentive plan. So if the company is not achieving the improvement in the sustainability score, then there are no incentives for the people.
Right.
It's quite factual, actually.
Yeah, no, lovely. No, but I think also that's where we need to be. When we need to measure it also to be, and on one hand accountable, but also to create alignment in this value chain, because it's not only about believing, it's about acting. So fully agree. I have two questions left, and one is also related to well-being of users. What's the direct correlation actually between use of wood, but also the user well-being side of the real estate? So not like asset owning, but really I'm a user when I look at livability of cities. So what's the importance of the use of wood in that perspective?
Well, first of all, if you look at it from the material perspective, you're talking about non-toxic renewable material. You also see this. There is also on the other side the need and attractiveness of this biophilic design that is a natural design that is, in its essence is very peaceful, it's very modest, but it also brings that warmth, if you like, in the home. So it's not strange that all the, for instance, lodges in the mountains are made of wood. It is a very warm material. It is a very natural material. It brings that, that peace, if you like, and bring it. It's very beautiful. And sometimes if you don't treat the wood, it will change over the time. It will become more gray. So your whole environment is actually evolving and living. But on the other hand, if you just want to make it the same like it is today, it is still very beautiful and very easy to use. And at the end of the cycle, it is just completely renewable and recyclable. So in my view, it is a natural product. It is a very, very a very good choice for somebody who is actually thinking in those terms.
Right. Yeah, then final question, Jelena, and it was actually related to your dream, because after 10 years, then you have time to inspire young people. But actually, maybe we should start today. So if you have one, let's say, or best practice or advice from the heart, from Jelena to listeners of the podcast, whether it's a young professional or somebody who is doing his PhD, what's your advice to this, let's say, future leader?
Try to be every single day a little bit better than yourself yesterday.
Wow.
You don't need to compete with anybody else. You just have to make yourself better than yesterday. And you are going to make fantastic progress over the time, or, you know, but it is that wish to learn, and having that mind that is constantly learning and adapting is something that I would advise every single year. I advise my children as well. You know, be open, just learn all the time, and try to be better than yourself yesterday. And that is what I wish for my company as well.
Yeah, great. Well, as an associate professor at the Amsterdam School of Real Estate, I'm totally on the same page. Yeah? It's all about lifelong learning, and whether you're 20, 40, 50, or even in the 60s, there's still a future, especially in the longevity perspective. So that's a really warm advice to future leaders, Jelena. And also, so I really would like to share my appreciation for this podcast, because I think it's a perfect blend of an entrepreneurial mindset, but also where impact and profit comes together. And I'm already looking forward to our next podcast in 10 years. Well, we will look back at the journey, measuring your impact, both as a person, but also the company's impact. So thanks very much for this inspirational podcast, Jelena.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Ron. It was really a pleasure.